Hey there, it's Danny Young here and welcome to today's video where I'm going to explain to you all about the 11 different Facebook ad objectives. Now you'll need to choose one of these objectives when you set up your Facebook ads in order to make sure that you're going to get the best possible results. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see when people are having problems with the performance of their ads is that when I look into the campaigns that they're running, they've often chosen the wrong objective, which is why they're not getting the output and the results that they would like. So what you can see on the screen is my dummy test Facebook ad account. There's no data in here at all because I just use it for demonstration purposes and run the odd test. And what I'm going to do is I've just come in. This is the interface as you would see it when you log into Ads Manager. I will click on the create button over here. And here you can see the 11 different ad objectives that you can choose from. Now, there is a buying type at the top here where you can choose auction or reach and frequency. I'm not going to go into that today because that's not what this training is about. Suffice to say that almost every single campaign that we run uses the auction buying type. So before I get into each of these different objectives and what they mean, I just want to explain a little bit about these categories that the objectives fall into: awareness, consideration, and conversion. And in order to do that, I'm just going to switch over to my iPad here. Okay, this is how a regular kind of online marketing funnel works at a very high level. Okay, you'll find other examples of this if you go into Google and search online marketing funnel or marketing funnel. You'll find lots of different variations of what you can see on the screen. But I want you to just think about a couple of things with this funnel. So this is a funnel that goes from top to bottom, okay, down like this. And the journey starts with awareness, moves into consideration, and then finally you get down to conversion, which is where most people want to get their leads to, because that's when they're going to start converting. So what I'd like you to think about is that awareness at the top of the funnel generally is where you will be targeting lower quality traffic at a lower cost. It's normally the coldest traffic that doesn't have any kind of understanding or awareness of your brand, because that's what the awareness phase is about. It's about, like it says in the diagram, it's about generating interest in your brand. So we'll come into the specific ad objectives and how they fit in a couple of seconds. So once you've been through the awareness phase, you'll then look to move people down into the consideration phase. So here you're getting a slightly better quality of traffic, and the cost to get your ads in front of this audience, as it were, is going to be probably slightly higher than it would have been in the awareness phase. So consideration is about, once people are aware of your brand, getting them to think about whether or not you're a viable option for them. Are they going to think about working with you in some capacity to maybe solve a problem or take them forward a couple of steps on the journey that they wish to go on? And then once they've been through the consideration phase, you will move down into the conversion phase. And that is where you're going to see probably the higher quality traffic, and it's going to be a higher cost to get your ads shown to people that are likely to convert, okay, because there's more value down here. So that's the journey that you're going to be taking people on. Now, sometimes people will go straight for the conversions. They won't worry about awareness, they won't worry about consideration, and that's okay. There's not a one size fits all when it comes to marketing, and there are often examples where we work with clients in my agency that just go straight in for the conversion phase. I'll explain some of that when we dive into the specific ad objectives in a little bit more detail now. Here we are back in the screen share, and I'm going to dive into Ads Manager now and explain more about these different ad objectives. So if we start with brand awareness. Brand awareness in our agency is not something that we use particularly heavily. It tends to be used by larger brands who want to get their brand out there. And what Facebook are doing here is they are showing your ads to people. And if I hover over this little eye for information, it will explain a bit more. But they're going to show your ads to people that are most likely to remember them. And they do this through a thing called ad recall lift. And it's a little bit of a black art, but in essence, the way I've seen this work is that once your ads are shown to a specific audience, they then run surveys that will appear in Facebook, and it will just say, hey, do you remember seeing an ad by this brand in the last 7 days or 3 days? And then you'll put yes or no. That's a way of measuring the performance of a brand awareness campaign. But as I said, this tends to be used by really big brands that really want you to think of them as the market leader when it comes to specific things. An example might be that just springs to mind is, if you're thinking about buying trainers, then Nike may use brand awareness campaigns and just pump their brand out there so that you're top of mind. Okay, so that is a very much an awareness category ad objective, and it's not something, as I said, that we use in the agency particularly frequently, because we work with coaches, consultants and course creators to help them grow their audience and to help them sell out their courses and programs using Facebook and Instagram advertising. Reach, however, is something that we do use from time to time. So what Reach is going to do is show your ads to the maximum number of people in an audience. Now remember, in the diagram that I just showed you, I talked about the awareness level of the funnel being where you're going to get the lowest cost traffic but also the lowest quality traffic. Another way to think of this is that as people move from awareness into consideration and then into conversion, their level of intent increases. Okay, so when you're just making people aware of your brand, their intentions are going to be quite low. They're not going to be particularly inspired to take action, but you may want to get your message out to a lot of people using the reach objective. Now, where this works really well in my agency, when we're working with coaches, consultants and course creators, we tend not to do too much with reach unless we are retargeting audiences, but retargeting audiences specifically with content that's used to build authority, know, like and trust, positioning, credibility. So we're normally retargeting an existing audience of leads that we've generated, is a good example, and I'll come on to that when we get into lead generation and conversions. But if we're list building for a client and we're building their email list with new leads, then we might, as soon as those new leads are opted in for a lead magnet, then we might retarget them using a reach campaign with more really good content from our client so that we can build credibility with that audience. We call that omnipresence. It's quite a common term that's used in the world of online marketing, but that's one of the good use cases for reach. I'll explain another use case for reach that doesn't work so well when it comes to retargeting, and that is if you are running a sales campaign. So let's say that you are selling a course or you're selling a program, and people are coming through your funnel, they're getting to the sales page but they're not buying. Then what a lot of Facebook ads people will do is they will retarget anybody that hits the sales page with a reach campaign saying, hey, don't forget that you've got this amazing offer. That, in our experience, doesn't convert particularly well. You may see 1 or 2 conversions coming through, but remember, the intent here is low. The level of intent of the user is low. So these people are going to see these ads, but do they have a high enough level of intent to convert? Well, the answer to that is generally no. It can work because you are retargeting an audience that's already familiar with your brand, but when we're retargeting in a sales campaign, we will retarget using conversions. We may also try traffic, and we may also test reach just to see if we can sweep up a couple of purchases, especially if we're looking at higher ticket stuff, so that if we spend a small amount on a reach campaign, but we manage to mop up a couple of sales for a couple of grand each, then that makes the investment well worth it. Okay, so that is the awareness phase. Moving into the consideration phase, or category as I referred to it earlier, here now we're starting to think about, what can we share with this audience to help them to consider whether or not we are a viable option. Okay, so we've got a number of different objectives that we can select here. So the first one here is traffic, and this is all about driving traffic to a website, and as it says on there, an app or a Facebook event, or let them tap to call you. So that when you set up a traffic campaign, you do have inside of the ads, we're not going to go into this now, but you'll have a number of different options that you can choose in terms of the type of traffic that you want. So traffic works really well if you want to get people to visit a website, perhaps to read a blog post. So think about the consideration piece here. If you have written some content that you want to share with an audience on a big scale, which is why you'd use Facebook ads, because you're paying to get your content shown to a lot more people, then, if you've written a really good blog post that's got good feedback, or you think it really kind of touches home and addresses something that your audience is going to be interested in, traffic would be the option that you want to choose. Okay, so the key difference here between traffic and conversions is that we've always got to think, when it comes to the objectives that we're choosing, what is the ultimate outcome that we want with the campaign that we're running? Okay, if you want to send people to a website, but it's not to read a blog post, it is to, maybe it's a sales page on a website that you want them to buy from, then you want a conversion, and that's what you should be optimizing for. Okay, so traffic is very, very good at driving people to websites, like I said, specifically for blog posts. That's not coming up now. You can also send them to apps or to events, or let them tap to call you, which are other settings that you can set up with inside the campaign itself. Engagement. So engagement is all about getting page likes, event responses, or post react comments and shares. And for us, we use this quite a lot for the post reacts, comments, or shares. So when you choose engagement, you can choose on this page, you can choose the type of engagement that you want, and that will explain there what it is. So post engagement is great because it will show your ad to people that are likely to comment, react, or share. What does that do? It builds up social proof on your ad, and social proof can be very, very powerful when it comes to getting things like conversions. Okay, so what you can do sometimes is you might be running a conversions campaign, and then to the same ads that you're running, you might also run an engagement campaign as well, so that you can build up social proof, because then when people see those ads and they see lots of engagement on them, that gives them a warm, fuzzy feeling inside that they may want to move forwards and actually engage with that, interact with that ad and visit the sales page, as it were. Now, some people say that engagement is risky because Facebook doesn't differentiate between positive and negative engagement. So, people can leave good comments, they can leave thumbs up reactions, or they can leave negative comments, and they could put angry face emoji reactions. So that is definitely something to be mindful of. With our clients, we've seen that it tends to work more positively than not. And if you're monitoring things like comments, you have the option, of course, to just delete any negative comments. If you get too much negativity on those ads, then you're just going to want to probably turn that engagement campaign off and kind of have a rethink. But it can be a strategy that works very, very well, and it's absolutely worth testing. So you can also run campaigns for page likes, and you can also run campaigns for event responses. So if you're running an online event on Facebook and you want to target that to people to get them to respond, engagement would be the objective that you would choose. App installs, again, in the agency, we don't run too many app install campaigns, but as it says here, this is going to show your ad to people that are most likely to download and engage with your app. We don't tend to work with apps too much, but if you have an app, then it's absolutely something that you can do. We've run a couple of campaigns that have worked really well with this, but it's not a kind of core competency for us. Video views, we do run a large number of campaigns for video views. So what are we trying to achieve with the video views objective? Well, we want to show our ad to people that are most likely to watch a video. Now, if you're running a sales campaign and you're using a video in your ad, but the goal of your ad campaign is to get people to buy, then do not use video views. Because remember, this is the consideration phase, it's not the highest quality of traffic, and what you'll be doing is you'll be showing your ad to people that like watching videos but don't necessarily purchase. Okay? What's important to understand at this point is that Facebook understand the behavior of their audience, because everything that you do on the Facebook platform is tracked, and they build up a profile of you, and you can see all of this stuff if you go into certain settings, which I'll show you that in another video. So you can look into your own profile settings and you can see kind of what interests are associated with your profile, what kind of activities associated with your profile. So Facebook knows if you like watching videos. Facebook knows if you like visiting websites. Facebook knows if you like visiting websites and buying things. Okay, so that's how Facebook determines who to show these ads to. That's part of the algorithm. So that's why you've got to make sure that you choose the right ad objective to achieve the result that you want from that campaign. So why would you choose video views? What we like to do with our clients sometimes is maybe run a series of 2 or 3 videos at the top of the funnel. So we're running ads to cold traffic, people that don't know them, but they might have a series of 3 videos that are really high impact, really high value. And what we can do is we can set up what we call a cascading funnel, where we could show video number 1 in the series, and then anybody that watches maybe 50% or more of video 1 will then be shown video 2. And anybody that watches 50% or more of video 2 will then be shown video 3. So what you can think about there, if you think about the funnel that I showed you earlier, it's kind of doing the same thing, because the audiences are going to get smaller for each of those videos, but they're going to be much higher intent. Those that have watched at least 50% of video 1, 2 and 3 are going to be much more interested in a much warmer lead than those that maybe have just watched video 1, only watched 25% and then nothing else. Video views are cheap. They don't cost a lot of money, so they can be a great way to build audiences. And they're a great way to, and you can do really good retargeting with them as well. So video views does what it says on the tin. If you want people to watch your videos, that's where you need to, that's the objective you need to choose. Lead generation. What lead generation does is it pops up a form on Facebook when people want to opt in for something, which might be a lead magnet, and we use these quite often now since the issues with iOS 14 and the challenges that's presented with the Facebook pixel and tracking. A lot of our clients are using lead generation forms to get their leads. Now, lead generation ads, or lead ads as they're often referred to, used to be given a bit of a bad name because the quality of leads sometimes wasn't as good as perhaps it might have been if you were compared, with sending somebody to a landing page. The reason for that is because if you think about the journey people have to go on, then when you, let's say you see a Facebook ad and you like the content and you think, yeah, that sounds quite good, and then you click on the button and then a form pops up which has already got your name and email filled out because it's taken from your Facebook profile, you haven't left the Facebook platform, it's very easy to just opt in for that. Whereas if you run a campaign, and this would be a conversions campaign, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail shortly, if you run a conversions campaign which required people to view the ad, then click the button and then wait for a web page to load and then manually type in your name and email, that requires more from the user. It's only a tiny bit, but it makes a difference. So you probably would get slightly higher quality leads from the second example than you might have done from a lead generation ad. However, there are now settings inside of lead generation ads where you can increase the intent of the user and you can get higher quality leads. And we're testing these. I'm actually using these for campaigns right now and they're working really, really well. So that's the primary use that we have for lead generation ads, is to use a pop-up form on Facebook. The great thing about it is that because the user doesn't leave Facebook, then every single lead is tightly tracked and tightly tied up with the user profile. So what I mean by that is that if we were to send people to a landing page from Facebook, from a Facebook ad to a landing page to opt in for a lead magnet, where they manually type in their name and email, they might type in a different email than the one that they register their Facebook account with. Most people have had a Facebook account for years. Emails change from across the years, so that data might not match up. Whereas if it's all done on Facebook with a lead generation objective ad, it's tight, the data's tight, and we can track much better. The messages objective is going to show people ads that allow them to engage with you on Messenger, WhatsApp, and Instagram in the DMs. So I find that this works really well for local businesses that want to have conversations with people in the local area about services that they provide. It can also work really well for people in the coaching niche, where they can use third-party tools such as ManyChat, which we do a lot of stuff with in the agency, to maybe set up an automated messenger bot, so that when people click on the ad, it fires the bot and the bot starts to interact with the user and kind of might ask them some quite carefully designed questions to help qualify that user. Depending on the answers that they've given, the bot will show them maybe a specific offer. It might be, hey, you seem like a good fit for this program, or hey, I've got a free piece of training that you might want to consume. Very, very effective. So that's what Messages does, and it also, as I said, it works in WhatsApp and it works in Instagram as well. So that's the consideration phase. And then we move into where the highest quality traffic lives in the conversion phase. So I would say that we probably run 80 to 90% of our ads will sit in the conversions objective. Okay, because most of our clients, coaches, consultants, and course creators, they want conversions. Now, conversions can exist at the top of the funnel. You don't need to go through awareness, consideration, and conversion in order to get a conversions objective campaign to work. A great example of that is when you're promoting a lead magnet. So if you're not using the lead generation objective, and you instead want to send people to a website or a landing page that's off of Facebook, where you've got a nice custom built landing page and you've got your little funnel designed, you'd need to have the Facebook pixel installed. And again, that's a separate training, which I'm not going to cover today, because the Facebook pixel will track what's happening with users who leave the Facebook platform to go to a third-party website. But the conversions objective works, is exactly what you'd want to use there. So if you're promoting a lead magnet, you would generally be running those ads to cold traffic because you want to build your email list with people that don't know about you. So that's a great example of where the conversions objective can sit at the top of the funnel for cold traffic. Now, I wouldn't recommend using a conversions objective ad at the top of the funnel to drive sales, unless you're in e-commerce. And again, that's not a niche that we specialize in, but e-commerce, you might actually want to use the catalog sales objective, because that's to show, if you think, I mentioned Nike earlier as a brand, so Nike might run a brand awareness campaign and then they might run a follow-up conversions campaign using the catalog sales objective, where you've got, those, you can have dynamic catalogs set up, inside of your business manager, and people can scroll through and see lots and lots of different pairs of trainers. And then there's cool stuff that you can do about how if you interact with certain, one of those certain styles of trainer, then they might retarget you with some more stuff. So it's very, very clever. And that might be done at top of funnel. Depends. So conversions is all about conversions. And it says it down here. Show your ads to the people who are most likely to take action, such as buying something or calling you from your website. Catalog sales I've just covered, which tends to be a little bit more e-commerce focused. And then finally, the final objective is store traffic. So this is an interesting one, and we haven't tested this that much, but for local businesses who have physical shops, then your ad can be shown to people that are most likely to visit those shops when they are nearby. Now, again, I haven't tested this, and it's obviously, well, it might not be obvious, but it's very difficult to track, because how would Facebook know if people actually come into a store or not? So it's an interesting one. If we were working with a lot of local businesses, it's definitely something that I would test, but because of our audience, we tend not to do too much with that. So those are the 11 different campaign objectives that you can choose when you are setting up your Facebook ad campaigns. And I think the most important takeaway from this is that you must choose the right objective to achieve the results and the goals that you want from your campaign. If you choose the wrong objective, you're definitely not going to get, or it's very unlikely that you're going to get the results that you want, and then you might start to fall into that kind of territory of, Facebook ads don't work, or they really, really do, because this is how Facebook have built their business. It's their single biggest revenue stream, and yeah, this is a really important part of getting your ads set up correctly. Okay, so I hope you got some value from that. If you've got any questions at all, please drop them in the comments. Please do like this video. Please feel free to share it with your friends if you got value from it. And one final thing, if I've recently put together a free guide. It's wordy. It's the 7 biggest Facebook ad mistakes and how to avoid them. So one of the mistakes I talked about today is choosing the wrong objective for your ads. But there are 7 others that I've seen by looking at hundreds and if not thousands of different ad campaigns, helping people who are saying, look, my ads are not working. What's going wrong here? And I saw 7 categories that cropped up time and time again. So I wrote a quick guide about that, and it's free for you. If you want to get access to that, then just get the link in the description and you can download that. And you will see that that is an ad, or that will take you to a landing page. And if I was running an ad to that, I might want to use the conversions objective. I am actually running ads at the moment using the lead generation objective to promote that. That's just a little aside for you. Anyway, hope you got value from this, and I'll see you again soon on the next video. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.